When you watch movies, who do you root for? The good guys or the bad guys? Well, today we're talking about.
The bad guy.
My name is Dorian, and this is SEM, and today we're talking about 15 real life bad guys and how much money they've made. Some have made millions, some have made billions. If you like what we do on this channel and you want more videos like this, subscribe. Then click that bell notification. You don't know when the video comes out. Probably Scarface could say it better than I can.
I buried those cockroaches.
Blue Magic. That's a brand name. Like Pepsi. That's a brand name.
No, this is not Denzel Washington, even though he portrays a very good bad guy. This is about Frank Lucas, who inspired the movie American Gangster. Now, for those of you that have not watched American Gangster, even though it is a 13-year-old movie, spoilers ahead. So Frank is just another two-bit hustler, and he has a cousin that's married to the sergeant that's in the army. And he gets to talking to the sergeant, and the sergeant tells him about the heroin that's over there in Vietnam.
Blue Magic.
Now, this part's kind of fuzzy. I don't know whether he joined the military or he figured out a way to get in the military. All I know is that the movie has him over there talking to the Vietnamese drug lord themselves, the Golden Triangle. And he makes a deal with them to get the drugs, his heroin, sent over there. So now he cut out the middleman. He's getting his heroin directly from where they grow it at. So he sells it for the same price that everybody else is selling it for. So his is a lot more pure than everybody else's because they got to cut it like 2 or 3 times to make a profit.
Blue Magic.
So now in the movie, the way that they got the drugs over there is they put the heroin in the caskets of dead soldiers that get sent back to or from Vietnam. Now, one of his partners in crime said that didn't happen. It was put in furniture, but what makes a better movie? In furniture or in caskets of dead soldiers? You see what the movie went with. So, like all these movies, and he gets caught. And he gets sentenced to 70 years, but he turned informant so that he can get a lesser sentence.
A straight snitch.
At one point, Frank Lucas was worth $52 million. Frank Lucas. So next we have Meyer Lansky. He was the mob's accountant, and he was instrumental in building up the National Crime Syndicate here in the United States. Now, Meyer Lansky got with Buzzy Siegel, and they were doing everything. They built up Las Vegas and Havana and made them open to the mob. I mean, they had Swiss bank accounts. They was laundering money from like London casinos. They were doing everything.
Leave the gun. Take the cannoli.
Now, if you want to bring down a mobster, there are 2 ways to do it: hit him with a RICO or tax evasion. Eventually, Meyer Lansky gets hit with a tax evasion, and he has to go to jail. He did get out, and when he died, they said he had about $35,000 in his account. But at one point, Meyer Lansky was worth $400 million, and federal authorities claim that he has it hidden somewhere. They just don't know where. Meyer Lansky. Now, 13, we have Griselda Blanco. She worked for the Medellin cartel back in the 1980s. Now, she had a lot of nicknames. She was labeled the Godmother, the Queen of Cocaine, and Black Widow. She earned that last name because she is responsible for 200 murders.
Say hello to my little friend.
Now, she was running this out of Miami, and eventually the DEA caught up to her in Irvine, California, and sent her to prison, and she was still running her cartel from prison. Eventually, back in 2012, somebody caught up with her, gave her a double tap, and she died. Now, there's a dispute, And where we getting our information said that she was worth about $500 million. But if you go to her Wikipedia, they got that she might have been worth $2 billion. But we're going to go with what the site that we're using. And her estimated net worth was $500 million. Griselda Blanco.
It's a new day. Yes, it is.
Sometimes when you're shooting these videos, you want to get them all done in one day, but unfortunately, they go on to the next day, like today. Well, look, clean myself up pretty good. And at number 12, we have Anthony Fat Tony Salerno. He made his fortune through loan sharking, charging a mob tax to New York construction, and Nevada casino fraud. So in 1986, Fortune magazine rated him the most powerful and wealthiest gangster in America. By 1992, he was in jail, he had declining health, and he died of complications from a stroke. So what tripped me out was he was serving two separate sentences of 100 years and 70 years on federal racketeering charges. Why not just say you're not getting out? Were they trying to cover his bases just in case he was immortal? At one point, he was worth $600 million. Anthony Salerno.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a gangster.
Not these next two, but yet they're still on this list. So also tied for 12 is Dennis Kozlowski. He was once the CEO of Tyco International. That was a New Jersey-based security and fire protection company. Now, he was convicted for embezzlement. An investigator revealed that he received $81 million in unauthorized Tyco bonuses. He was sentenced to 25 years but was granted a conditional release in 2014. At one point, he was also worth $600 million. Dennis Kozlowski. And at number 10, we have Bernie Madoff. The former NASDAQ chairman admitted to operating the largest Ponzi scheme in U.S. history after his son turned him in 2008. In 2009, Bernie Madoff pled guilty to 11 federal felonies. His Ponzi scheme dated back all the way to the mid-1980s and racked up nearly $65 billion from his clients' accounts. He was sentenced to 150 years back in 2009. Again, he's not a demigod, he's not Wonder Woman, he's not living that long. Judge just say you're never getting out. Boom, done, over with. At one point, he was worth $820 million. Bernie Madoff. Now it's time to get into the big money.
Do you know what a hasa is, Frank?
At number 9, we have Joaquin Guzman Lora, El Chapo, which means shorty in Spanish because he's 5'6". He is the head of the Mexican Sinaloa cartel. The U.S. Treasury Department has dubbed him the most powerful drug trafficker in the world, and he has escaped from prison twice. Now, they did eventually catch him again. Hopefully this time they can hold him. Now, on his Wikipedia, they have his estimated net worth to be between $2 to $4 billion. On the site that we're using, his estimated net worth is $1 billion. El Chapo. And at number 8, we have Al Capone, public enemy number 1. Now, Capone made his money through bootlegging, gambling, and prostitution back during the Prohibition era. He's allegedly responsible for the St. Valentine's Day Massacre in 1929. Now, he was never indicted for racketeering, but he did serve 6 years for tax evasion. They released him because he had ill health and he died back in 1947 in Miami. His estimated net worth was about $1.3 billion. Al Capone. And number 7, we have Alan Stanford. This American billionaire was found guilty of a $7 billion Ponzi scheme, money laundering, and obstruction of justice. He was sentenced to 110 years, and he's serving it right now in a Florida state prison. Again, he's not a sea turtle. He's not going to live that long. His estimated net worth was $2 billion. Alan Stanford. Now, also tied for seventh is Leona Helmsley. She was dubbed the Queen of Mean and famously said that taxes is only something that little people pay. She was sentenced to 16 years for tax evasion. And ironically, her sentence started on April 15th, tax day. Her estimated net worth was also $2 billion. Leona Helmsley. At number 5, we have Carlos Enrique Letter. He is a co-founder of the Medellin cartel. We'll talk about his partner later. He started off life just stealing cars when he was young. Then he became a cocaine titan. He eventually had legions of gunmen, race boats, airplanes, and a ranch with a racetrack. Now, he eventually got turned on by his own cartel and was sentenced to life without parole plus 135 years, which that 135 years got reduced down to 55 years. So it's like he serves life in prison, he dies, they bring him back, and then they're like, all right, now you got to serve 55 years. It's crazy. His estimated net worth was 2.7 billion. Carlos Letter. At number 4, we have Kan Sung. He was the head of the Golden Triangles from 1974 to 1994. Remember Frank Lucas?
Blue magic.
At that time, he controlled about 70% of the Golden Triangle's heroin business. He traded heroin or opium for guns, and he took control of large parts of the same region. Now, he surrendered to Burmese authorities back in 1996 as long as he received protection from the government. He died of unknown causes in 2007. He had an estimated net worth of $5 billion. Kan Sung. And number 3, we have Victor Bout. He was convicted of conspiracy to kill U.S. officials and aiding a terrorist organization, the FARC. He was also charged with wire fraud and money laundering, which they expect that's how he amassed his billion-dollar fortune. Now, he was sentenced to a minimum of 25 years back in 2012. Now, why didn't he get like 110 years? I mean, the dude did enough to do that. And crazy thing about it is he even dared Donald Trump once he got elected to give him a presidential pardon. His estimated net worth was $6 billion. Victor Bout. And at number 2, we have Armando Fuentes. He partnered with the number 1 person on this list to smuggle in drugs from Colombia and Mexico into the United States. Now, he evaded the DEA his entire life, and in 1997, he was getting an alleged 8-hour plastic surgery done to extremely alter his face, and that's how he died, ironically. He was worth an estimated $25 billion. Armando Fuentes. And at number 1, we have the king, Pablo Escobar.
There's a big guy coming through. Better get out of his way.
In 1989, Forbes put him on their richest people in the world list. He was bringing in an estimated $420 million a week from smuggling. And he controlled about an estimated 80% of the U.S. cocaine supply in the 1980s. Now, he worked with like Colombia officials, and he built his own luxury prison, which he was in, which he still ran his cartel in until he eventually escaped and was on the run for about 16 months until a SWAT team finally caught up to him, which they gunned him down, and then they posed with him like he was a trophy buck. Carlos Escobar estimated net worth was $30 billion. Pablo Escobar.
All I have in this world is my balls and my word, and I don't break them for no one.
So, who is your favorite real life gangster? And I say real life, I don't want to hear Tony Soprano or Tony Montana or Michael Corleone. I'm talking about real gangsters. You don't have to admire them.
He who must not be named did great things. Terrible. Yes, but great.
And then let me know in the comments. And saying that, if you are new here to SEM, please hit the subscribe button, become part of this SEM Nation.
People think you're weak. They see an opportunity.
Once you become part of this nation, get that bell notification. You'll know when the video comes out.
Father taught me many things here. He taught me in this room. He taught me, keep your friends close, but your enemies closer.
And if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. My name is Dorian. This is SEM. Thank you guys for watching my videos. Really appreciate it. And you guys have a good day.
So say good night to the bad guy.